and welcome to the Betty Eats podcast, where we talk about all kinds of things with food creators from all over the world. And today on the podcast, we have Harrison Chapin. I'm going to let him introduce himself because he does all sorts of things and is amazing. So, Harrison, I'm very excited to talk to you today. Welcome to the program. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Harrison. I'm 24-year-old, born, raised, and based in New York City, and I am the author behind The Secret Ingredient on Substack, where I adapt hit restaurant recipes for easy home cooking. And it tends to skew in a regional Italian and California cuisine, which is what I personally like to cook when I'm at home. But I had a brief stint in the fine dining space cooking a few years ago, and that really just kick-started everything for me. But I'm super excited to be here and to be chatting. Yeah.
Yeah, well, welcome. It was so interesting. I was thinking about the first time that we connected. It was actually on Substack in a food writers group, I think was the first time. But then I saw your recipe. Speaking of your fine dining experience, I saw your recipe for the grapefruit sorbet.
Yeah, the grapefruit givre. It's a French.
Givre. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
That looked amazing. And I just thought, okay, this guy is worth following here because he has some very unusual, high-end recipes, like you said, that people love to eat in a restaurant, but they think, okay, I'd really love to make this at home. So that was kind of what caught my eye first because I'm a huge grapefruit fan, and so that was really fun to see that. So did you grow up kind of in, I don't know, learning about cooking and other things like that from family, or is that something that you just dove into later on? How did you start in that?
Yeah, so the uh, food in my family when I was growing up, my mom cooked a lot. She was the cook in the family, and she still is the cook in the family. And whenever I'm cooking with her, I'm the sous chef, and she's big chef. But yeah, so she really cooked for me growing up in my family, and she's an amazing, phenomenal cook. And so, yeah, growing up, in New York City, we occasionally did eat out as well, and when we did, it was, phenomenal. New York City is a city with 8 million people and 8 million stories as well, and you get a lot of really, really amazing food wherever you go, whether it's at home or when you go out. So I was very privileged on both ends of that. Yeah, so growing up, I guess I wasn't cooking when I was little with my mom, but there were certain recipes that my mom would make and other family members as well, not just my mom, that kind of took my heart and over the years have become, staples in our home and ones that I come back to again and again. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I love too that you grew up basically kind of a foodie without realizing that you were a foodie because, in New York, like I have family that lives in New York City as well. And, I love every time I go there, we eat somewhere different every single time. And the food, I don't know, the level, I think, of not only flavor, but I think of authenticity and innovation is really at another level in New York. And so I think, oh my goodness, how wonderful that you got to grow up experiencing that. And my nieces and nephews do too. So that's really great. But
Yeah. And
yeah.
I'll add to that what I was saying about, I guess, I wasn't cooking at a young age, but we were eating also a very healthy lifestyle. I'd say food that's very healthy, health
Mhm.
focused. And I guess, as I said, like there were some of these recipes that have really stuck to us over the years, and I could just list off a few. My great uncle Garrett made these amazing popovers for breakfast
Oh, wow.
whenever we would go visit him. That was a specialty of his, and it's a memory that I have. There was my mom does this amazing Feast of the Seven Fishes for Christmas Eve.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
something that we always do. She also, one of her classics is the lemon ricotta pancake. So good. She does a crab toast, chicken Milanese, pork
Mm.
tenderloin, and of course the recipe that I featured on my Substack was hers that she adapted, which was this a stewed Meyer lemon and almond birthday cake, and I make it every year now, whether I'm at home with her or off in college. I made it by myself when I was away from her. So there's all these recipes. That's just a small sample, but that really stuck with me. That influenced like the kind of food that I love. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that that would definitely influence that. And gosh, what a treasure, though, that you grew up with all these wonderful cooks in your family. Now, you mentioned that you worked in fine dining, and how did you come to that? I know we talked just briefly that you are from New York, but you also spent some time in California and then are back in New York now. And how did you fall into fine dining? Was that
Yeah,
a
I
career
guess.
path, or you
Yeah,
just thought, ooh, this is fun?
yeah. I guess I'll take us back even before into what led up to that
Yeah,
experience.
yeah.
So, um, in probably the end of high school, I took this summer job on the side of my academics because I was very focused on school. But I took this summer job working as a bar back at a neighborhood bar where I live in New York.
Mhm.
And right, we have craft cocktails and a lot of mixology going on. It's not just you have your mixers, whatever. It's very high end cocktails and alcohol. And that was really my introduction to like the culinary world, I guess, like in terms of me being an active part of it.
Mhm.
And yes, that was amazing. It was a brief stint, but it really introduced me to new ingredients and flavors that had never been on my plate before, right? Some of
Mhm.
them. Um, but when I caught that craft cocktail bug, they were in my glass for the first time ever. And as my first point of contact for a lot of ingredients that I really love today, like pandan, Thai
Oh.
chili, cardamom, anise, lemongrass. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, I did. I worked as a bar back, and then after I had to go back to school, I went back and then I really dug into that and started making kind of craft cocktails on my own. And I worked again for another bar locally to my school. And it was never like a serious career path for me. It was just a passion um, that I loved and I wanted to continue. And then I guess I had a second twin passion, which was making pasta from scratch, actually.
Oh
And
my goodness.
yeah, I really, that was probably my biggest craze I had. And it was specifically, I did a lot of Northern Italian type filled shapes with fresh egg dough, everything from
Wow.
scratch.
Wow.
And I guess why I was drawn to that was I just loved the sense of ritual and the tactile
Mm.
nature of working with my hands and the dough.
Mhm. Mm.
And I guess now I've tried to get into panettone as well, the Italian
Oh,
cake, and I think I
yeah.
love panettone for the same exact reasons I love making pasta. It's right. It's you're breathing life into the sourdough starter, going through this multi-week process, and there's a rawness and rusticity that craft, and I find that exhilarating, right? So all
Mm.
this right led up. I was making pasta in my free time for my roommates in college.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
yeah, I was the chef in the household,
Wow.
and also exploring a little bit of the Los Angeles food scene, and
Mm.
right, really inspired by the pasta masters in that area like Evan Funke, right? Um,
Oh, yeah.
some of these like rustic canyon California cuisine became really big for me going to farmers markets. Um,
Oh,
but I guess, again, there's so many other stories I could pick up on that really influenced before I had my fine dining gig. Right, the college campus that I lived on, there was a student-run community garden right next to my dormitory. And
wow.
they had a chicken coop, completely student-run chicken coop, and the roosters in the morning would be my alarm clock. They would wake me up
Oh
each
my.
morning. And I had some really delicious recipes come out of just seeing what was fresh in that garden and making it. Yeah,
Wow.
I guess coming from New York City, that Southern California bounty, the bounty of the produce that I'd never
Mm.
experienced before, was really a great joy for me that I didn't expect to happen. I didn't know that was a thing. So I just have really fond memories, like harvesting black currants, prickly pears, and persimmons from friends' gardens and our local gardens as well. Uh,
Mm.
yeah, so I guess leading into my fine dining gig, I will say that I'm intensely visual when it comes to food. So I got a lot of my cooking inspiration from scouring Instagram, actually. So
Yeah.
profiles of restaurants wherever I am, places I want to check out. And I asked myself, is this like visually compelling to me? And I
Hmm.
found that really translates well into the food that I love to cook and eat. So I remember a very close friend, big foodie friend, Tommy. He sent me this Instagram post one day, and it was from the restaurant Missy, which is a pasta restaurant from Missy Robbins, the chef Missy Robbins in New York City. And
Uh-huh.
instantly I knew in my heart I had to learn how to make the food and the pasta in that photo, and I knew I'd work there. Um,
Oh, wow.
so yeah, so I guess that was my introduction. The next summer I was like, sign me up. I need to work here, and I did an extended stage. I guess it was a
Hmm.
multi-month, but it was always with the understanding that I would be going back to school for
Mm-hmm.
non-food related things. Yeah, so that was my introduction into the fine dining.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Well, a couple things stand out to me, which is, okay, the rooster waking you up in the morning. That must have been an amazing experience. I mean, kind of like living on a farm, but not really. But what a wonderful experience that is. And I love that you also kind of became known as the cook of the house while you were with your roommates. And yeah, so that is really interesting. And yeah, I can see how, I mean, of course, you know the old saying of we eat with our eyes first, and I think that that is so true when a dish is visually compelling. And I know anybody that visits your newsletter on Substack can see that you make visually compelling dishes, and so I think that's a really great way to describe that. You know, it's just the colors and the way things are arranged. So did you, when you were working in fine dining, did you enjoy it? Like, was it everything that you thought it was, or what was your takeaway from working in it?
Yeah, so I guess I was first hired as a like prep cook,
Hmm.
but I really just tried to immerse myself and be a sponge to everyone around me because everyone around me was so much more experienced and talented than me. I didn't even have knife skills when I joined them. It's just a testament to the turnover and the labor crisis in the hospitality industry. But
Yeah.
it was my it was my source of, getting my foot in the door. So, yeah, I was around a lot of young people, everyone passionate about being there. So, I guess my favorite part of my stint there was just the camaraderie between the chefs. All the in-between times. I guess like things like family meals every night. We would have family meals,
Oh, wow.
coworkers cooking a pre-service meal for you with, whatever
Hmm.
leftovers are in the walk-in fridge. It's
Hmm.
kind of like a form of, throwing stuff at the wall and seeing really like how talented are your coworkers when they have like crappy ingredients to work with. I just found that like tradition so fun. You know, breaking bread with the people you work with. And then another thing that I loved was being part of a larger hospitality company. So Missy, for all that don't know, is a part of uh, a hospitality company that's also, their first restaurant was Lilia, which is also a hit lauded restaurant in the New York City scene, focusing on regional Italian cookery with a wood-fired grill and pasta as well, all handmade in-house.
Wow.
And so I guess getting that experience as part of a larger like hospitality group was super interesting. Every few
Mhm.
weeks you'd have the two restaurant teams would come together and join for a wine tasting, and
Oh.
that was just purely
Mhm.
meant to educate us on the wine offerings in our establishments and improve our knowledge of the beverage program. Even though I was not, client facing, I was in the front of house. It was, you could tell that they really wanted us to bring our service to the next level, and that included everyone on the team. So I think that just that culture really inspired me. Um, and yeah, I guess another highlight for my time was meeting all the like the short-term stages, like all the people who were in and out just for one night,
Okay.
who would come in and just hearing their stories of working in fine dining from all around the world, all their different
Mhm.
experiences. That was amazing too, because you know, like Missy, the restaurant I worked for, is one of those names. It makes those like best of lists in New York City,
Mhm.
and I have a lot of friends who have been, since I left, been like, can you give me a reservation here tonight? I want to come. And I've actually gotten a few of them in, but it gets a lot of clout, and sometimes for the right reasons, sometimes for the wrong reasons.
Mhm.
Right, there is that kind of like Instagrammability of some of their dishes that I think
Mhm.
you miss out on some of the sleeper hits that they serve. And I know personally because I'm a very visual person and I discovered them through Instagram, right? It was always for me needing to like stress test these recipes before I myself, go on to eat and publish renditions on them, right?
Right.
Yeah, so that's
Mhm.
some of my experiences. I guess I didn't really have that many things that I disliked. I guess
Mm.
I would just say maybe leaving so soon. I wish I could have stayed for longer.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good sign, though, that, oh, I could have stayed longer. So,
Yeah.
well, you talked a little bit about recipe testing, and so let's talk about that. It seems like the recipes that you are doing, they are obviously inspired by your experience in fine dining, but also, how do you decide, okay, this is going to be really great to kind of replicate and then share? I mean, what is kind of walk us through your process of how you decide that, and then also how you go about recipe testing for that? Because so, some of the recipes that you do they can be quite elaborate, but you have broken them down so that people, average people like me can actually make them. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so where I seek inspiration, I guess, food that I've eaten in restaurants that I loved, really
Mm.
the creme de la creme of what I love, which tends to be, right, like California cuisine, really
Mm.
simple, things that aren't really fine dining foods that
Mm.
already are super easily adaptable because they're just produce forward, low manipulation, putting the ingredients on the plate kind of things. Those are the kind of
Mm.
food that I love to eat and cook. And so it's super easy when it comes time to adapt. Like
Mm.
some of the recipes I'm sure that I publish are the exact same ingredients go into the dishes that in the restaurants because it's just
Mm.
so simple. Like it's not like you're looking for the like Coca-Cola recipe, like some like high tech, like secretly
Right?
guarded. I named my publication The Secret Ingredient, but a lot of this is it's actually very simple and straightforward. It's just
Mm.
putting it all together that I think, yeah, is where I come in. And I guess there are a few more advanced recipes like the grapefruit givre that I include just
Oh,
because they
yeah.
just absolutely stood out to me when I went to eat them.
Yeah, gorgeous.
And right,
Mm.
I never publish something that I don't love to eat. Like it's all true to my heart what I'm
Mm.
doing. But I tend to stick to those more simple um, recipes if that answers the question. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you talked a little bit about loving to make pasta from scratch. And I've done that a few times. It is like a meditation when you think about it. I mean, it is a long process, but the reward at the end is so worth it. Um, have you seen that there's a Netflix series, I think, of Chef's Table, and they have one on. Yeah, you probably watched it. That
Hmm.
was so interesting to me, and I really want to go back and rewatch that, just to see the journey that some of these people take in making. Like you talked about Evan Funke and a couple of other people, and it was just kind of like, wow, their dedication to the best ingredients and the best techniques. And um, yeah, so that was a fun watch. But
Yeah, I have a few of his recipes that I'm trying to develop for my Substack.
yeah.
Still, I'm gonna be probably months out from that because, right, I think his recipes are a little harder.
Mm.
But I did, of course, when I was in California, go and eat at his restaurants, and I think I wouldn't have been able to work there because of the commute. I wasn't really in LA for college. I was like an
Oh,
hour outside of LA,
yeah.
but I did eat there, and yeah, amazing, amazing, amazing food. I will say, just in like complete honesty, I think Missy Robbins does the pasta I like best. Something about how she, makes modern classics. Like she really reinvents some of those pastas are,
Mm-hmm.
what Evan Funke is doing. You can tell he's just trying to honor the Italian classics and
Yeah.
just bring out the best ingredients. But I think Missy is, fighting, like pushing back against like Italian American fare and
Oh, mm-hmm.
reinventing, recreating like what's possible with the ingredients. And that's what I really, really love. When I think where I think the genius is. But
Mm.
they're both very special, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, when you are looking at recipes, we always talk a little bit on the podcast about people, we all do a search online or in a cookbook and now with AI, there's a lot of untested, weird AI recipes out there. But when you are searching, what do you look for? Like, what are some of the hallmarks that you
Yeah.
think, okay, I'm going to read this and make sure that this is actually going to be doable or make sense? What are some of the key things that you like to look out for?
Yes, I would say an instant tip off for me, if it's quality for a baking recipe, of course, is if the ingredient list is prescribed in like gram units as opposed to like
Oh,
rougher units, like measurement units like cups.
mhm.
That's an instant tip off. For high quality recipes, uh, that aren't baking related, I find they almost always, or at least the ones that I like, call for specific varieties of the ingredients listed. For example,
Oh,
I'd say, like a few weeks ago, I published on the secret ingredient a fig and cured lardo recipe. Super simple, but
mhm.
a specific variety of fig that the recipe called for were
Oh,
Violette de Bordeaux figs, and
mm-hmm.
right, they're known for their like deep red strawberry pulp and a jammy texture, and that stood out, of course, to the restaurant that created that recipe, Rustic Canyon, and
Mhm.
they developed the recipe that way. So I'm just gonna trust them, right? So I guess I definitely look out for like ingredient specificity, um, like specific varieties of things, and sticking to those things when they're prescribed. Yeah.
Hmm. That is so interesting that you say that because the first thing when you did mention that that came to my mind was tomatoes and how different, like a Roma tomato is from a beefsteak or a cherry tomato or a grape tomato, and that's a really good point. And I think one that nobody has brought up before that I have not heard yet is specific types of produce, or like you said, the specific ingredient variety. So that's really interesting, and that is a good tip off because it can be very you could get very different results, I guess is what I'm saying
Mhm.
from. Yeah. So what's on the horizon for you? I mean, what do you the go forward? You're obviously doing very well on Substack, growing your newsletter subscriber base, and What other things are you really excited about right now? Are you
Hmm.
doing any traveling, or are you taking classes or offering different things? What are you working on?
Yeah, so I'm about to, for some just family time, I'm about to head to northern Vermont, where I spent some time in the summers when I was little growing up, where my grandfather um, built a little cabin and he left an amazing legacy. And so I'm about to head up
Mm.
there. But that is really tied into a lot of my goals for my, um, with the secret ingredient, with how I'm producing content. I do a lot of like wood-fired grilling up there, and
Oh,
so
wow.
in the next few months, you'll see more uh, recipes that are based on just like grilled meats and vegetables and fish, even.
Ooh, yummy.
And I'm trying to,
Great.
yeah, really showcase the beauty of that, what we have going up there. And as in addition to that, it's not in the summertime, it's not the season for it, but we have maple trees and
Oh,
they get sugared every year. And some of our neighbors and good friends, they uh, are sugar maple farmers. Like they have sugar maple shacks, and they every year turn our maple trees in the sap into maple syrup that we enjoy all year long with pancakes and whatnot. So I
mm,
guess I'm just really looking forward to, you know, catching up and seeing the people that um, are really, honed in on their craft.
mm,
And yeah, and in terms of just like longer term ambitions for my uh, newsletter, I've been really wanting to get into just dip my toes into. There's a whole scene, of course, I'm sure, everywhere, but especially in these big cities like New York,
mhm.
with supper clubs, um,
Oh,
where like food influencers and cooks, you
yeah.
know, host these maybe bi-monthly or semi-frequent supper clubs. Um, and it's just a very attractive idea to me,
Hmm.
including kind of like a social component where you're meeting new people because, right, I just graduated from college and, I want to be meeting new people. It's an exciting
Oh,
time in
yeah.
my 20s and I need to be growing socially, especially because it's a lot harder to be making friends now that I'm not in a college campus filled with people all my age, right?
Yeah.
So what I really want to do is not, of course, just go full into it, but I want to attend more supper clubs, do some
Mm.
market research, of course, and figure out if that would be something that I could offer in the long term, a supper club. And I've, thought about the format, and I think I have some very fun ideas for how I can bring some of my friends into the fold. Some of my friends are very talented with like music and
Oh,
candle making. One of my friends is really into candle making
goodness.
and finding nice locations to host in the city. And I thought, it really translates what I'm doing really well to a supper club format where you can
Yeah.
have one each supper club each night is a different focus on a different restaurant. So all dishes from one restaurant one night,
Oh,
and the next
wow.
night something that I've had in the back of my mind for a little bit, and I want to keep probing. So that's
Yeah.
definitely not coming soon, but maybe in the future. We'll see.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that sounds wonderful. Well, I'd like to come to that. Let me just invite myself. I would like to come to that. Well, you know who else? She used to do that. She doesn't do it so much anymore. Is Sophia Real of Real Simple Food. She was on the podcast a few times ago. She actually lives in Belgium, but she and a friend did that for a while. Her friend who's a chef now, I think in Sweden, but they hosted supper clubs and did some things like that. And that is such an intriguing idea. And I love what you said too about, certain seasons of life and how you want to reach out and meet new people, but it's kind of hard when you are not, part of college or, maybe in a particular program it gets harder as we get older. And so I think that that is really, really smart because you're going to be meeting people and kind of bringing people together too that have a common interest and in music and food. And so I think that that is really very smart. And I hope you get to do that soon because that sounds
Mhm.
super delicious as well.
Yeah,
uh,
I'm really excited.
yeah, yeah, that's exciting. Now, do you also have aspirations of maybe doing a cookbook one day, or is that just
Uh,
not on your
that's
radar
not even
yet?
on the radar right now. You know, actually, I already made a form of a somewhat of a form of a cookbook.
Oh,
Um, when I was in high school, and it wasn't published anywhere, and it wasn't like an official book. It wasn't like a bound book. It was just a PDF file on my computer that I printed out and stapled together, and it was my family cookbook. And I included
oh,
over 100 recipes and counting. Still to this day, I add to it. It's the Chapin Family Cook. That's my last name. The Chapin Family Cookbook. So I have all my mom's recipes growing up that I love in there. I have,
wow.
extended family members' recipes. Um, and most of the time, it's just I open it up on my laptop in a digital
Mhm,
file and I get the information I need. But
mhm.
um, yeah, who knows?
Wow, that's actually a very valuable resource because, that is something. I don't know if you caught Rebecca Blackwell, who runs the Mastermind group. She had a live with Lori White, and they talked about preserving family recipes. And that is so important because those can be lost forever. I know even in my own family, there's people who not everybody wants to share their recipe too. It's like, no, I'm taking
Mm.
this to the grave, and they did. But when people are willing to share that and you're recording that, I mean, that is a really valuable piece of preserving your family history, but also preserving just wonderful recipes that you want for future generations. So
Yeah,
that's really
it's
smart.
yeah, I think it's been said that we use our mother's cooking as a reference for how food should taste for the rest of our lives. And I guess that really stuck with me,
Yeah.
right? I'm also a twin, so I've been literally like competing for resources in the womb since before birth. And I guess I don't want to compete anymore. I'm definitely sharing this family cookbook with everyone. I've shared it with numerous friends,
Mm.
family members. Everyone can have it. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's very generous. Now, is your twin also a foodie or no?
Not to the level that I am. I've
Oh.
really, I guess I have introduced him to a lot of to the restaurants and places that are special to us. But I mean,
Mm.
yeah, he's fun, but I don't think he at the same level. Maybe one
Yeah,
day.
yeah, different interests.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. Well, I'm sure your mom is so glad too that somebody is preserving her recipes and family recipes. I think like I'm a mom, I don't think about writing down my recipes, for my kids. It's cute. Sometimes I'll get a phone call like, in the middle of the week from my daughter who I made, different casseroles for them growing up. I don't make them so much now because, like, I'm not going to eat all that. My husband's not going to eat all that. But she'll call and be like, "Okay, so what do you put in this casserole?" So I think I need to write those down, and that way she'll have them. And so I think that's a really smart idea. Um, well, we talked a little bit about the tried and true recipe. Which one have you decided to share? And maybe if you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the recipe that I'll share is a recipe from my time at Missy, the restaurant that I worked at, and I I'm obsessed with it at work, right? When we were at work, some of my chefs, co-chefs and I were always joking. It's like it's basically we called it in the kitchen crack cocaine. It's crack cocaine. That was our code name for it. We didn't even call it what it was, but it's an oozing slow roasted sun gold tomato dish. Super simple. So it's perfect for the peak of summer, right? You get a variety of colored sun gold tomatoes. I like to get a few yellow ones, a few bright red ones, some maroon ones, and you just split them in half, sprinkle them with fennel seeds and coriander seeds, a little bit of salt, olive oil, throw them in the oven, slow roast them for a few hours, and then take them out hot, and they'll be a little crinkled and oozing, and their flavor will concentrate and they'll be sweeter. And then you just what I like to do is drizzle them in a swirling pattern with hot honey, so with chili oil and honey,
Wow.
and then top them with some fresh mint leaves and basil leaves, and that's it. And it's all this recipe's on my Substack already, and it's free. Yeah, it's super simple. It's the only hang up is that it does take 3 or 4 hours to just of waiting for the slow roast to happen, but it's the labor is ridiculously simple. It takes nothing to get a great product.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds delicious. As soon as you said hot honey, I'm in.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And it sounds like you said perfect for summer. I know so many tomatoes right now just coming off of the little one tomato plant that I have, but also at the store and farmers market. So that's perfect. Perfect for summer. Well, Harrison, where can people connect with you online? What's the best place for them to contact you or to follow you? And I'll put all the links also in the show notes.
Yeah, so right now it's my cooking newsletter, The Secret Ingredient, which I have on Substack, and it's my main outlet. I guess
Yeah.
aside from that, the only other place that I'm on right now, and this might change in the future, but it's actually Belly, Beli, and what it is a social restaurant recommendation app where you can explore lists and maps of your friends' favorite restaurants, bars, cafes, etc., whatever they're ranking. You can see their ranking, and my username is my name, so Harrison Chapin. So HarrisonChapin,
Okay.
and you can follow me on there and stalk where I'm eating and where I'm getting my sourcing my inspiration for my new newsletter dishes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, and that's great too, because when, a lot of times when somebody goes somewhere like Manhattan or New York City, it can be overwhelming. Like, where should I go eat? Especially if they don't have family in the city or friends in the city. So that's a great resource. People can look and see, oh, well, where's Harrison eating? Obviously, that's going to be good. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Well, yeah. Well, I just want to thank you, Betty, for having me on here. It's an
Thank
honor,
you.
and it was super fun
Oh,
like chatting with you. And maybe one day we can, reverse things, and I'll interview you if I ever have a podcast, because I'd love to, get to know you better, and in this format and otherwise, it'd be super fun. But thank you for having me.
that'd be fun. I would love that. Well, thank you. I so appreciate you taking time. I know you are a busy person, so thank you so much for taking time today, and we will see you soon. All right, thank you.